Hi, I am Fantastic Fox, or Maya Zimmerman. Uh, I'm making a game, a game that's dots and boxes, and there's other stuff going on that I'm kind of like working on, but it has eight different AIs, and they all play differently. I'm going to play a game I'm going to play a medium game. I chose Fern. It's going to pick Dot because I have it set to automatically pick Dot. So I'm gonna try to make a big old chain here. Okay, so we've got a closed loop here. That's good. Okay, so it gave me one. Now we're on to 2, and so there's a smart move here. The smart move is this one, because then I get to keep the momentum. And do I want to do the smart move, or do I want to show off? I want to show off. I want to show off a little bit, because that's the point of this, is to show off the AI. So it's going to think for a second, and then it's going to... Now, the obvious... You know, if you're playing on a very surface level, like, you would fill this one in, and then fill this one in, and you would get 2 squares. And instead, the AI chose to not get those 2 squares. So now I will fill in those 2 squares. And now I have to pick somewhere for the AI to fill in. And that's going to be right here. And then I can cut it off right here. Wait. Yeah, because then it'll... Um, yes. Okay. I'll have to fast forward through that, maybe some of that, because I was really having to think about what to do. So that's my best AI, is Dot. And I wanted to talk about Dot's AI and the AI in this game in general, because a friend had mentioned being interested in it, and I think it is interesting. So there's two levels here. There's the brains and then there's the deep. And the brains have they all start with general AI. And general AI takes the AI working map, and basically the AI working map is all the places that the AI can choose to place their next line. And it takes every possible space, and it analyzes how many connections it has. And if it has, 1, 2, or 3 connections, it will get sorted into 1s, 2s, or 3s. Or 0s. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, and 0. It can't have 4 connections because it only checks 3 connections. So, but so it sorts all the possible moves depending on how many connections there are. And at the end of sorting everything out, it it deletes the ones and zeros that are also twos. So if it's a 0 and it's the same space is also a 2, it removes it from the zeros. It counts it as a 2 because 2s are very, very important. Because basically, when you have two connections, no matter what two connections you have, if you add a third one, you are one away from creating a box. So, twos are critical. Two connections are critical. Three connections are also critical, but they, at first, you go, well, let's get to at first you get greedy. You say, if there's any AI sort 3, it doesn't matter which one, do it. And the effect of doing that is that if there are 3 connections ever, the computer will go for it. Always. And that's not always the best strategy, but I didn't know that when I started, so I programmed it this way, where it's just like it just takes it just always takes the most that it can all the time. So first it checks that if there's any 3s, fill them in. Then this one is A bottom AI means that it's I forget what A stood for. But they stay away. They sort first to 0 rather than 1. So they kind of stay off doing their own thing. And these AI all stay away from what's going on, and they pick one of the cardinal directions to kind of focus on. And most of them have some randomness built into that, where it's like, if the random rate hits, it does a random spot. Otherwise, it's neatly sorted. So all of these AIs, these get called in general AI. So it where's general AI? Okay, yeah. This is so this is the general AI. At the end of the general AI, it says local choice equals player customization, CPU select, brain. And then the brain the brain in this variable, which is basically, what's the computer character? What brain does the computer character have? And then it runs that, and what that returns is the choice, and the choice gets connected. So it sorts, the general AI sorts it, and then it says, now with the sorted data, and that was kind of like, that was my first thing, was like I sorted the data, and then I started making these different AIs that handled that sorted data differently. And the big factor for a lot of it early on was, sorting by zeros, sorting by ones. Boxy originally, Boxy sorted threes, then twos, then ones, then zeros. So Boxy would create boxes if you left her alone, but like it wasn't very it wasn't very good. It wasn't very enjoyable to play. So now now there's a few different axes of different thought between them, because there's the 0 and 1 behavior. Like, that's the 0 and 1 behavior is different between all the AI characters. Like, they do something differently from each other in the zeros and ones. And usually it's like something simple with a little bit of randomness thrown in there. Dot is completely random between 0 and 1. So Dot can really just like do whatever. And so yeah, it's a better AI considers the zeros and ones more carefully and tries to align the number of open loops with their player number, where they are in the turn order. A smarter AI would do that. But I haven't gotten that far yet. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with the AI in this. So twos. Before we get to threes, let's talk about twos, because twos. Let's go down here to a bottom AI. So this one. Sorry, my mouse has been giving me trouble. Okay, so it sorts by threes. It does a random sort by threes. And then it sorts zeros. And if there's not zeros, it sorts ones. And if it doesn't sort ones, it goes to the 2 brain. And 2 brain is when we go deep. This is so that's smart 3 brain. Okay, 2 brain here. So I don't remember what 2 brain does. It tried to sort the 2s in a way that would lead to the least connections being made. And it's sorting. And it kind of works a little bit. Like, sometimes it'll avoid big chains, but very often it seems completely random. But yeah, 2 brain doesn't work very well. When it comes to the end game, which is when 2 brain comes into play. Because all the zeros and ones have been sorted out, and now you're down to 2s. And once it's all 2s, it's going to be all 2s and 3s from then on. So two brain is kind of like was the beginning of my sorting 2s. And then after 2 brain, I had the idea for smart 2 brain. And you can tell it's smart because I declared thinking to be true at the start of So what this does is this takes the AI sort of 2s. Smart 2 brain tests them, and then if they got tested earlier, they're pulled from the testing. Because what happens is, as it goes through every single 2 that you can play, it generates a second AI working connection map. Because there's the connection map. So there's 2 maps all the time. One is for AI. One is the blank space, and one is blank space that has values associated with it, and then one is like fixed, and so connections are the fixed points. They're They're done. They're part of the landscape, and that's it. They're not going to, like, they're not going to change. Whereas so we've got the AI working. Con is the connections for the AI to work on. AI working 2 is the AI working map. But this is basically I'm taking too long to explain. It copies the connections and the AI map into a virtual, two virtual maps, and then virtual stay becomes true, and basically, while virtual stay do 3 brain and I have a little note here. Hey, be careful with this while loop. I know, Mom. That's the only that's one of the only comments in here that's not just commented out code. I thought it was very important to note this while loop, because this while loop could get out of hand. While virtual stay do 3 brain, and virtual stay is set to true at the start of this. So 3 brain, if virtual stay doesn't change to false, 3 brain runs forever. So virtual stay has to become false. Otherwise, it's a problem. And it's a problem anyway, because basically 3 brain... Oh, very smart 2 brain. 3 brain takes the AI working file and sorts it, and it only cares about 3s. It doesn't care about if there's 3, it adds it to 3. But that's it. And it checks if there's 3s. And if there's 3s, it does a virtual connection. And con count, connection count, plus equals 1. Else, virtual stay equals false. So when this wasn't working, sometimes it would hang, and it would just be like, oh, I'm stuck in a while loop infinitely. And that's why I put that note in there. It didn't happen very much. I got it to do... It was doing the wrong thing, but for some reason wasn't getting stuck in the while loop. It did get stuck a few times. But so 3 brain. So what 3 brain does is it plays out grabbing 3s and sees how many 3s, sees how many boxes it can get if it places a line there. How many places would it give up if it placed a line there? Okay, so it's basically running AI against itself. And so 2 brain, smart 2 brain, where is it? Smart 2 brain. Smart 2 brain runs 3 brain, where it says Okay. Everything is 2s. So, let me check every space that I can place a line and see how much damage I would deal with from that. And yeah. So yeah, so then that was, once this was working, which this was like a huge deal to get working, this because of one simple mistake that I made. So Smart 2 Brain, the very Smart 2 Brain came first. Very Smart 2 Brain doesn't care. Test positive equals false. Because basically, the test positive basically says, like, okay, if you say you get a line of 5 pieces, of 5 boxes, and you fill it in, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, or 4, or whatever. So you you fill in all those boxes. What was I going to say? So you fill in all those boxes, and at the same time, you also send a signal to this tested of, like, you don't need to test these boxes because they already got tested for this chunk of thing. So it's less thorough. Smart 2 Brain is less thorough than Very Smart 2 Brain. Very Smart 2 Brain checks all of them. Absolutely all of them. And it makes a difference sometimes. It really does make a difference. Very Smart 2 Brain is too strenuous on the processor on large maps. It's fine on small maps. Let's be real. Very Smart 2 Brain is used in Smart 3 Brain because there's a whole other level beyond knowing to take the one that's going to leave the one that's going to result in the least being captured, right? Because this is how the end game plays out. It's like you slowly fill in the ones that have to be filled in, and whoever ends up at the end, ends up winning. But there's a move that I didn't know about until I started researching dots and boxes. And that move is, I saw it referenced as the double cross, in which you leave 2 boxes alone at the end, so that on their turn, they either have to start another chain for you, or claim those 2 boxes and then start another chain for you, because you can't, like, you trap them into, like, this chain of filling in small numbers of boxes as you're filling in larger and larger numbers of boxes. And, like, you can beat that by going into, like, a closed loop, because a closed loop doesn't... An open loop, you can create those boxes where the next move is for them to put the piece between the 2 boxes, and then, like, open, start another loop for you. So, Smart 3 Brain, when it's going to fill in, it's like, it does the 3 brain calculation. It goes, okay, like, if I keep going, if I do virtual state 3 brain, if I go, how many will I collect? And if it's greater than 3, or 2, it just goes. It's like, all right, yeah, we're good. And then, if it's greater than 2, goes. Wait, is this right? Yeah, because it works. So if con count equals 2 and AI sort 2 is greater than 3, it does very smart 2 brain. So now we had the 2 brain thinking about the 3 brain to come up with 2 decisions. Now we have the 3 brain thinking about the 2 brain decisions to, like, to come up with the safest non-box clearing move. And if there's not a safest non-box clearing move, it'll do something else. And it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect, but it like but yeah, basically very smart 2 brain gets run inside of the smart 3 brain. So all these AIs have different stuff about them, like let's get to Dot, because Dot's the best one. Alright. Okay, Dot. So Dot AI starts out, if it's 3, it does smart 3 brain. So it's already off to a good start. And then it does random 0s and 1s. which is fine. Randomness. The randomness works in practice with an otherwise intelligent AI, because if you don't know what you're doing, it will get you. Because it's got the Smart 2 brain and the Smart 3 brain. It might beat you regardless. Like, I lose to dots sometimes. And, like, I lose to some of them sometimes, not all of them. Some of them I don't lose to. I don't think I've ever lost to Abby. But I lose against the AI sometimes. Pretty much just dot, since I learned how to properly play the game. And even then, I still I'm not I could be better. I could make my AI better, but it's also it's pretty good AI. It's pretty smart. And yeah, that's all I wanted to do, was show off the AI and talk about it a little bit. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.